Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here or you've been here before but have not subscribed yet, please do so, along with hitting that thumbs up button for me and dropping your comments. Definitely love the comments. They help me tremendously. Also, turn on the notification bell so you're alerted when I go live or drop a new video like I'm doing right now. Today is Sunday. It's the day after a very painful and frustrating loss by the New York Knicks at home for the home crowd, the first game at home in this incredible series between the Knicks and the Boston Celtics that saw miraculous things happen. Basically, the New York Knicks have been making history. 2 20-point comebacks, and for some reason they wanted to make history again. They let themselves get down by 31 actually. But there was no comeback in Game 3. Many things went wrong. This video is an analytical video. It's discussing what went wrong. I have highlights for you, basically highlights of the first quarter, because everything that went wrong in this game happened in the first quarter and then just kept stepping. It was just step and repeat for the following 3 quarters. Where in the past, many things went wrong in the first quarters for the Knicks in games 1 and 2, but they corrected them in the third quarter or late at some point in the third quarter, whether it was midway through or late in the third quarter, and carried it through the fourth quarter to win, to go up 2-1. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to break this thing down. Thank you guys for joining me here. Let's go. So just to recap the series right now, currently it's 2-1. The New York Knicks are leading. I believe any single New York Knicks fan who was asked if after 3 games and the Knicks were up 2-1, would you sign up for that? Would you be excited for that? Would you shave your head for that? Most people would. Most guys definitely would. I'm sure some women would be like, no. But they would. If you're a woman who's a Knicks fan, you would take this in a heartbeat. Now, the way Game 3 went down is definitely making it difficult. If, let's say the Knicks had split the first 2 in Boston and came down here for Game 3 to New York and won Game 3, the mood would be completely different. But the reality of the situation wouldn't. That's why it's important to stay focused, stay humble, the players especially, and to understand that this is a death match. The Boston Celtics do not want to be sent home. They are a very resilient team. They have been to several Eastern Conference finals, including to 2 final NBA finals, and one of them, I'm talking about this current configuration with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, that configuration, and they won one of those finals, and they are the current champions right now. They're the reigning champions right now. So, when you think about it that way, and then you think about the fact that you have to put teams away. This is Jaylen Brown's quote here. You got to beat us 4 times. Not once, not twice, not 3. You got to win 4 games. That is the task at hand. The New York Knicks did not approach Game 3 as if it was a must-win for themselves, and it was expressed by Jalen Brunson himself in the post-game interview. He said basically they were subconsciously satisfied. That took some of the energy and intensity out of the team. I believe he's right. But the reason I'm showing this is because I believe that he is correct, that they didn't have the proper hunger. They were satiated. When you're satiated, what does it do? It basically reduces your hunger and your aggression, your intensity. That obviously got all wiped away after this very humiliating loss on the Garden floor, where these Knicks were once down 31 points against their opponent. So, what's going to happen? How do they correct it? What went wrong? I mentioned that it all kind of happened in the first quarter. So, let's look at, well, before we do that, let's keep going here. Going to update you on a couple things, and then we're going to look at what happened in that first quarter. Karl Anthony Towns, this is from Stephen Bondy. Karl Anthony Towns, who appeared to hurt his finger yesterday, is not on the injury report for tomorrow night's Game 4, a league source told the Post. So, that is a great sign. That's great because I was a little concerned. I mean, he was grimacing. Look at that face. He was in pain. Like, he has been in pain before with that finger, gripping it, grimacing, like that. But I felt like yesterday was the worst that I had seen it. So I was a little worried that he may not be available for Monday. Now he is going to be available, but he is going to be compromised. So that's an issue. Josh Hart, we saw him land hard on the hardwood floor after a missed layup, and I actually have that play to show you guys. He had to leave the game. He came back, but he wasn't quite the Josh Hart that he was in Game 2. So he's kind of compromised. Brunson, he was missing bunnies early. He was missing floaters. He was missing free throw line jump shots, things that he normally makes. So maybe he's not quite 100% as well. No one's 100% at this point. OG Anunoby disappeared. He had 2 points. So we're looking at a team that definitely has exerted a lot of energy. They had to exert tremendous amounts of energy to win those first 2 games in Boston. And I think going home, I felt like it was going to be the reverse, because it would have been for me personally. I would have been even more sharply focused. I might not even have gone home. I might have just gotten a hotel room in Manhattan and just completely hibernated from my family. Would have FaceTimed a little bit, and that's it. Just focus for the task at hand. I thought they were going to have that kind of focus in Game 3. They spoke about it in the days in between Game 2 and 3. It didn't happen. It was the Boston Celtics, and of course the Boston Celtics are going to have that kind of focus. Look, they were the ones who were in danger of going down 0-3. They were the ones who basically, you go down 0-3, no team ever comes back from that. They don't. So they knew that. So they had to give. They were the ones caught, in the trap, and they basically had to eat their their ankle away so they can escape this trap. And that's exactly how they played last night, or yesterday, should I say, because it was a matinee game. But this is good news, but it does highlight how the Knicks are not. I mean, basically, they gotta play through these injuries. It's just the way it's going to happen. The starters. We're going to talk about the starters in a little bit. First, what I want to talk about is this whole notion that this series has been dominated by the Boston Celtics. That, other than in Game 3, which for sure they dominated Game 3, no doubt, the rest of that is utter bullshit. Bullshit. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you why. Here we go. So this is the box score of Game 1. Everyone talks about, the Celtics, they built the 20-point lead. But guess what? They also fucking blew a 20-point lead. Yeah, that's right. For about almost half the game, they blew a 20-point lead. They built a 20-point lead midway for 2.5 quarters, and in the final quarter and a half, the New York Knicks completely owned them. They outscored them 56-33. You can see 33 here for Boston. Boston shot only 24% from the three-point line, 25% overall. They picked up 23, and they had 6 turnovers in that second half. They lost by 23 points. The New York Knicks, meanwhile, during that same period, shot 47.5% overall. They shot almost 58% from the three-point line. They hit 11 of 19 threes, and they picked up 10 assists in that half, which, you'd want that to be a little higher, but only committed 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers. That is domination. That is domination. So this narrative that is being fed to all of you is look at Game 2. Game 2, the same shit. So basically, for that one, it was a little bit less period. That was about 15 minutes of game time in a 48-minute game. Definitely would preferred that the Knicks had come out strong and just taken the game from the beginning. But it matters who wins. That's all that matters. How you win. And how they won is in the last 15 minutes of this game, of playing time. The New York Knicks, again, with great defense, and with hustle on the offensive end. They shot over 50% from the field, 51.7%. They were 5 of 13, 38.5% from the three-point line, which is a very good three-point shooting stat line. And again, only 3 turnovers during that period. They outscored the Boston Celtics in those 15 minutes, 38-17. Only allowed the Celtics to score 17 points. Celtics shot 2 of 14 from the three-point line during that period. They shot 5 of 28. Yeah, and they didn't score. They only scored 1 field goal in the last 8+ minutes of the game, and that was a dunk by Jason Tatum right down the guts of the defense, right down the lane. And they tried very late in the game to take the lead, actually. And they tried to replicate that play, and we all know what happened. Mitch picked up Tatum early, forced him left into OG, and then McCall collapsed on him, blocked it, and stole it for the win. That was it. So they only scored 1 field goal in the final 8.5 minutes. So you still want to talk to me about Boston dominating this series? You still want to talk about that? Ridiculous. Now let's get back to this. The lineup. The starting lineup. Starting lineup has to be better. The starting lineup, it has been, and they're the ones who set the tone, and the tone they have been setting for 3 consecutive games is we're not good enough. That's the tone they've been setting. We're not good enough. They have basically allowed the Boston Celtics to become so comfortable in that first quarter that they believe they can take this game from the Knicks. And that is the exact opposite mindset that you want at the beginning of a game. That's not what you want from your starting. Your best players are supposed to be in the starting unit. Your best players. Now, in game 1, the New York Knicks, they got off to a slow start, but they were able to recover, and they finished. They were only down 1 point in that first quarter, 26-25. But in game 2, they could not generate any offense. They were 1 of 8 from the three-point line, 6 of 23 overall. They had no free throws. They were outscored 24-13. But look at that. They allowed only 24 points in the first quarter, and they only allowed 26 points in the first quarter of game 1. So game 1, 26 points. Game 2, 24 points. Unfortunately, in game 3, the New York Knicks allowed way more than they should have allowed. They allowed, I think, 31 points or something to the Celtics in game 1. And that's what I'm going to focus on is the first quarter, because that's where all the mistakes happened. That was just step and repeat for the continuing final 36 minutes of the game. So people have been wondering, I'm seeing out there questioning this composition of the starting lineup. Should Thibs make a change? Well, let's get into that first before we look at the first quarter of last night's game. Max Waldstein tweeted this out. I think the Knicks need to change up their starting lineup or rely way less on it versus the Celtics. This is from Pivot Fade, and it says here, all starting lineup for the starting lineup for the Knicks have played 68 minutes. They're a minus 25.8 net rating. And they're shooting 23.8% from the three-point line, 37% overall. Their true shooting is an abysmal 46.6%. That lineup's not doing it. Hate to break the news to nobody. That lineup's not doing it. All other lineups, which mostly are a blend of starters and the 3 bench players. So it's not like starters aren't a part of the second category here in the highlighted line. 81 minutes for all other lineups. Look at their offensive rating, a 114.1. Defensive rating is an improvement of 102.6. They're a plus 11.5. That is a 37.3 swing in net rating. That is dramatic. Why is the starting lineup like this ineffective? Why is it? Well, Here, shout out to the Strickland. This was part of a tweet that they put out. This is for the entire. This is just to continually drive home this message that something must happen with the starting lineup. Either they have to come out with more fire and intensity themselves and execute properly, or Thibs needs to make a change. We're at a crossroads right now. This is not something that you want to do in Game 4 because you have to. You want to make the right decision. Not after Game 4, should I say, for Game 5. This is not a decision you want to make for Game 5 because you have to. This should be made proactively. Look at it. And if you choose to stay with this lineup, how long do you stay with it? I mean, maybe like as Max said, maybe you don't play them as many minutes. Maybe you don't stick with them for as long. But this is for the entire playoffs. This is including the first round against the Detroit Pistons. You can see here the minutes played. The starting lineup, 212 minutes. They are a minus 8.2 in points. So the entire time the starting lineup has been out there, which is the majority of the time, the Knicks have been losing by almost double digits. It's unacceptable. You're just not, and it's amazing that the Knicks have won 6 out of the 9 games they've played in the playoffs so far. Just even look at the lineup number 2: OG, McCall, Brunson, Hart. The only change is Mitch over Towns. That one. It's only 35 minutes, though, but that one, a plus 11.4. Then the third lineup there, you swap out Bridges for McBride. So it's OG, Brunson, Hart, McBride, and Mitch, a plus 24.7 in 26 minutes of play. Then you got a Bridges, McBride, Payne, Robinson, and Towns. That's the double big lineup with 2 bench players and McCall. That one has been incredibly effective. Only 15 minutes of play, but a plus 38.1. Then you look at lineup number 5, which is OG, Bridges, Brunson. So 3 starters there. And then Deuce and Mitch. Not that many minutes, about 13 minutes or so. They're a plus 2.8. The least effective of those alternate lineups, but it's still a plus lineup. Every other lineup is a plus lineup here. Number 6, Bridges, Brunson, Hart, McBride, and Towns. That one, tremendous. In 10 minutes of play, they're a plus 48.7. Actually, I was incorrect. There is one other lineup that is minus here, and that is OG, McCall, Deuce, Payne, and Towns. Only 7.5 minutes of play, and you can see why they didn't stick with it that long. Their points is 41.2. So that is a rough outcome right there. And then you can just keep going on. You can see that basically it's been the starters that have been dragging this team down. So what should happen? Should Thibs make a change right now? Well, man, I got to say, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Because if Thibs makes a change right now, it's going to result in some, it would basically create a, let me see if I can find this here. Yeah. So this is just the conference semifinals series. And in this one, the starters have been outscored by 29 points the entire time they've been on the court. The next most potent lineup is the OG, Hart, Bridges, Brunson, and Mitch. 35 points. They haven't played that many minutes, 14 minutes. They're a plus 9 in just overall scoring. Now, the question would be, if you want to start Mitch, should you start Mitch with Towns next to him? That lineup, let's find it here. Where is that? Here we go. So, this would be not starting Hart. This would be starting Mitch over Hart. It's Towns, Bridges, Brunson, Mitch, and Deuce McBride. So this one's also without OG. A plus 4. I would never do any lineup without OG. That's for sure. Any starting lineup without OG. That is for sure. So the lineup we're looking for is OG, Brunson, Mitch, and Cat. and McCall. I would definitely start McCall over Josh Hart. Josh Hart has been too passive in the first quarters. And if you get McCall going early, that could really benefit much later. So let's get back to this. My take is this. I highly doubt that Thibs is going to make a change. There's going to be no change. He's going to stick with this. It's going to be a matter of these guys figuring it out and executing the game plan properly. And they have definitely been times when they have. Totally. And especially when it comes down to the first quarter. The first quarter sets the tone. The first quarter is everything for the Knicks at this point going forward. These miraculous 20-point comebacks that they pulled off. And it's not just that. Remember, they had a 21-0 run against the Pistons, and they were down 15 at the time or something like that. So the Knicks have kind of like taken on this identity as the comeback kids, like we're never out of it. However, when you're playing the champs, who in game four, they're going to come out with the same exact hunger and intensity that they came out with in game three, because not much has changed in terms of their chances of winning the series. It's basically the same for them. It's the same must-win situation. They know that if they go down 3-1 to the New York Knicks, basically they have a 0-7 chance of winning. That's just the reality of the history of these 7-game series. So they are going to basically, their backs are up against the wall as well. However, when the road team wins the first 2 and loses the next 2, they are 3-5. That's right. They only win 3 out of the 8 times that happens. Because remember, you're on the road. Then in game 7, the deciding game is in Boston. Now, for the Knicks, having game 7 at the Garden, right now, the Knicks are not as good at home as they've been on the road. They're 5-0 on the road, and they are 1-3 at home right now, which is unbelievably shocking, actually. So at this point, if Thibs was going to make a change, the change that I would make right here is I would start Mitch over Hart. And the reason that I would do that is basically you get the double big lineup, you suffocate the Detroit Pistons with tremendous size all around surrounding Jalen Brunson, and at that point, you set a tone of a defensive stance first and make Boston work harder to try to get their points, especially early. Look, then you can bring in Hart early. You can sub Mitch out once you set that tone, and then you have your original starters, and now at least they have pushed the Celtics out of their comfort zone, which is the key to everything here. It's pushing them out of their comfort zone, and that brings me to the first quarter. All right, let's get to that. Here we go. I've assembled this here. So what I'm going to show you is practically every single three-point attempt that the Boston Celtics had in that first quarter. Had to drink a little water. Thanks for being patient. All right, so here you can see the ball is up on the left side. Derek White has it. The Knicks, they're decently aligned defensively. As the ball is traveling to Tatum, OG is already stepping forward to swallow up that space, because look, Tatum's like near the half court right now. His feet would be on the logo if the logo was designed in that certain way. So keep going here. So you grab it. Look at Cat. His foot is in the paint. His foot is in the paint. Tatum sees that immediately, and Tatum probably had already noticed that. So he knows, and look, Horford is drifting to the right to find himself his money shot. Here it comes. Boom. Here's the pass. Perfect pass, by the way. Not high, not to the side, right in the pocket. Grabs it, and look, he's going to step back And look where Cat is. Cat is only about 2 feet away from the paint. That is a wide open three. Boom. First one. Down. Now, Cat could have hoped he missed, which they did miss in the first couple of games. But again, these are wide open. This is a wide open one. So now Horford is comfortable. Boom. Next one. Here we go. Next one, again, White passes it over to the center court here. Brown picks it up. Now, Towns, look where he is. There's a screen being set by Horford on Hart, and Towns should already be moving up to close up that space. He doesn't. He steps back. For what reason? I can never understand. I could never understand for what reason he would step back. Score 7-6. It's early on, 9 minutes in. Set this tone. Don't let them get comfortable. He's stepping backwards. Look what he does. He's backpedaling as Jaylen Brown is going up. Now, Jaylen Brown has not been that great from the three-point line, but you give a guy a wide open look like this, and look at Hart's like tumbling to the ground or whatever here. Boom. Three-pointer. Now it's 10-6. Next one. This one, I mean, so again, Horford sets the screen on OG. OG's going to have to fight through this thing. He can't. Cat, once again, look at Cat right there. Look, what's Cat doing? I'm rewinding right here. Cat's backpedaling. What does he think? Who does he think is going to contest this shot? Does he think Holiday is going to contest that shot for him? What is going on there? That is utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Boom. Swish. 13-6. This is how the whole game went for long periods. Now, let me go back over here. Now Mitch is in the game. There's about 5.5 minutes left. Hart is really uptight on White right here, which is nice. Good defense. KP slides to the right, dragging Mitch with him. So this one is just good defense, really good defense, and just great shooting. Boom. Look at that. He got it off in a half second. That is very well contested. Swish. Not swish, but now they're up 20-10. How good do you think Boston's feeling right now? We did it again. We built a double-digit lead in MSG, and this time we're not going to give it up. This time we're not going to give up a double-digit lead. Well, guess what? They never did. Now here, this play pains me tremendously. Hart, by what happened earlier, this was a missed shot that Mitch battled for and got the offensive rebound, kicked it out. I can't remember exactly who had the ball, but it ended up in Hart's hands. And I think, Hart shot a three-pointer is what happened earlier. So he bypassed it. He drove in, and he misses. So he usually makes those. But why is he landing so awkwardly like that? He was fishing for a foul. He was fishing for a foul right there. Now, Mitch is not in a great position right here. The ball gets pushed away. Look at this. 2 Knicks on the floor right now. So there's only 3 Knicks standing upright, 5 Celtics upright. Here we go. Ball gets kicked out to Pritchard. Pritchard stops and pops. This is part of their game plan for a 3, but there's only the 2 smallest defenders are the ones that are back here. And look how many green jerseys do you see in this shot? 4. Derek White comes in. So Deuce, he sees the man in front of him, Tatum. That's the one he's worried about. So he tries to block him out, but Derek White gets in easily for the putback. That's the only 3 that the Boston Celtics missed in the first quarter. That's it. Now we have about 3 minutes left. The Celtics have doubled up the Knicks, 24-16. Dry us down. Look at this. The reason I got to go back, because here is the mistake that was made. Let Brunson battle Jaylen on his own. Maybe Jaylen fucks up. Maybe Jaylen puts an elbow out. Maybe Jaylen is a little too hard with the shoulder. and Brunson picks up the offensive foul on Jaylen Brown. This is where Mitch has to be a little more composed and understand the dynamics of the situation right here. Towns is guarding KP. Mitch is on Tatum, who is technically the most important Celtic, right? So instead, he goes to try and help out Brunson, but so does OG. OG's kind of right there. So Brown could have easily kicked this to White or Tatum, but Tatum, he's got his hand up, and look at Mitch. He's moving towards him. So once he steps and the pass happens at the same time, that is enough time for a quick release player like Jason Tatum to get this shot off. This is basically a wide open three, right? And then Mitch even hesitated, which he should. If you just race out, he could just blow right past you. But in some ways, you don't want him to have open threes. So I think Mitch should have not hesitated and just completely closed out on him and maybe tried to recover. And who knows, maybe he might have gotten the block on him. Look at James Dolan there. He already looks completely miserable. His team is down 15 points with about 3 minutes left in the first quarter. And I imagine that's his girlfriend there next to him. I don't know. But look at that. That is just poor defensive execution. That's something the Knicks should be ready for, especially against a team like this. Now, I believe this is the last three-pointer of this quarter. Now, the score is 29-16. The Knicks down 13 right here. Brunson is on Pritchard, and KP is going to set the screen, and Mitch is the Knick defender who should step up. But Mitch drops and drops below. Instead of jumping up on the right side, he drops. And now Tatum has got a screen on OG, and OG flashes. He doesn't stick with them. They got so confused here. Brunson, Mitch, and OG got so confused they didn't know what to do, who to cover. They did everything else except stick with the man with the ball. Look where Mitch and Brunson are right now. Look where all the defenders are. This is another wide open look. And Pritchard, who scored, I think he was the high man for the Celtics, 23 points in the game, I think, or even more. He completely killed the Knicks. And the Knicks didn't have a guy on the bench to respond. Like, if Deuce had come out, and had a nice game, 18 points, which he's been able to do in the past. No, nothing like that at all. Now, this is the final play of the first quarter. The Knicks are down 14. It's 34 to so the Knicks ended up giving up 36 points in this quarter. That's wow. That's by far the most they've given up in the first quarter in this second round. So here, look at this. Deuce is on Pritchard and Mitch. The problem here is once Mitch tries to help out, Mitch doesn't get in front of Pritchard. He doesn't close out the lane. He's kind of on the side of him instead of stepping forward, where is what he should have done. He should have read this earlier. Basically, Mitch should right now be shifting to get see the N of the Garden, the Garden logo, the Madison Square Garden logo right there. His feet should be planted on that N, facing the action, not facing the sideline. Shoulders straight. So, of course, Deuce, if he keeps tracking Pritchard the same way he had been, he would slam into Robinson. So Robinson, in essence, almost set a pick, an anti-pick against Deuce right here. And now he's just following him in there, and Pritchard knows that you're not going to go and score on Mitch that often at the basket. So he read it all the way. He could sense how much space he had from Deuce. Shout out to Pritchard for tremendous execution here. And he goes up with the baseline jumper to put them up 16 points. Now, the Celtics, they built up a 31-point lead. So what they did was basically continue to run an offense like this for the rest of the game, is what they did. And at that point, the Knicks never really had much to respond with, because they are not playing the right way against the Celtics defensively and offensively. You need to hunt threes. You cannot have that disparity in three-point shooting that they have been experiencing of late. It just cannot happen. The Knicks need to stay close in terms of three-point attempts. They need to hunt three-pointers from the jump in first quarter. All of this is absolutely correctable. And I think if the Knicks starting unit resorts to an offensive scheme that is primarily about hunting threes, quality threes from, Hart's been shooting the three very well, but, we're not going to count him as a three-point shooter. But if he's wide open, for sure, take it. But these other four guys, Cat, Brunson, OG, and Macau, are excellent, outstanding three-point shooters. The Knicks need to develop an offensive scheme right now with pick and pops, double screens, constant motion, keep swinging the ball around. Enough of these, working the shot clock down to the finals. No, keep it going and hunt for open threes. That will be the magic potion here for the New York Knicks. And then on the defensive end, I just outlined exactly what they have to do. They have to basically switch and stick with their man and not allow any airspace for those guys to get those three-point shots off. Force them into driving off the three-point line. It's something that they did effectively during those two runs that I pointed out. During those, 28 minutes of those first two games. That's what the Knicks were effective at doing. That's what they can do. That's what they're going to have to resort to for Game 4. All right. What do I got here? What else do we got here? All right. This is I've been showing you this. Popper put this out from Live Sports. It's still, there's something wrong in one of the last two. But basically, if you win Game 3 and lose Game 4, those teams are 0-7. So that's why Game 4 is a must-win game for both teams. Because if you look above that, it win the series if you win Game 3 and 4. They're 5-3. So this is it. Game 4. Game 4 is the pivotal game of this series. The New York Knicks have to come out with the fire and intensity and the hunger at a higher level than even the Boston Celtics. And they can win this series. All righty. I'm with Ben, though. I'm definitely with Ben here. Knicks take care of business on Monday. This thing could be done in Boston in Game 5. All righty. Thank you so much for watching this. Again, my name is George. Please subscribe, follow me on social media, and share this video. That'd be great. Also, drop your comments. Want to hear your thoughts and comments, your thoughts and feelings about this or anything Knicks. Subscribe. Subscribe. I was like, I know there's something else. Subscribe. Okay. I will see you around the Knicks-Verse. Let's get Game 4.